With April being just a few months away, so is the release of the MegaMan Battle Network Legacy Collection. And if you're new to the series, you may have been wondering to yourself, should I play these games in chronological story order? Or maybe even wondering, which of all these 10 titles has the most memorable moments and best storyline? Or, which has the best overall mechanics in terms of the games, how smooth it plays out, and then PvP mechanics as well? Well, let's get right into that. Let's talk about chronological story order first. Mega Man Battle Network 1 was a great game to introduce the Battle Network series. However, it does suffer from first game syndrome. In Mega Man Battle Network 1, you may find yourself stuck at some point in the story because the game provides little to no insight on how to progress further. This happens sometimes, but not too frequent. Another thing you may notice is that all the online maps when you're jacked in the net look almost identical, so it's really hard to identify where you are in the net and how to get to certain areas of the net, whether it be Internet 1, 7, 9, or whichever you're trying to go for. Another thing you'll notice is that you can't run away from random encounters or boss fights without the escape chip. Aside from those things, Mega Man Battle Network 1 is a pretty solid game all around. The storyline is good, the music slaps, and if you watch the NT Warrior anime, there are some moments that reflect from the show, which is really cool to see in the game. But if you want my personal recommendation on playing this in chronological story order, I would say play the DS version of Mega Man Battle Network 1 Operate Shooting Star, which is a crossover from Star Force and Battle Network 1, where they basically fixed everything wrong with the initial launch of Battle Network 1. You're able to run from battles, they give you a map to see where you are on the internet so you're not lost anymore. The game's more directional than it was before when it was first released. And it's just a really good remake overall. Honestly, I'm not impressed with Battle Network 1's post-game. However, it is the first game. I do give them massive credit on everything moving forward. So chronological story order is your move. That's my recommendation. Let's hope Capcom does tackle those issues and fixes it and brings us a better polished version of Battle Network 1. But if they don't, the game is still great overall. Now, if you don't care for chronological story order here and you're just wondering to yourself, like, don't trip, just tell me which game has the best storyline, nice memorable moments, good old boss fights, and some juicy post-game. Honestly, that's gonna have to be Battle Network 3. That was the first Battle Network game I played, but I think a lot of people here would agree with me, including the R Battle Network Reddit forum, and even maybe Shadow Rock ZX's following. Battle Network 3 was just such a great game overall. The story of the game is great and easy to follow compared to BN1. The mechanics are really solid, there isn't much to complain there unless you ruin your Navicuss setup and get a ton of bugs. The boss fights are really cool, as well as the M1 Grand Prix scenario, and if you've watched the NT Warrior anime, they have the M1 Grand Prix in there, however, it doesn't reflect onto BN3. There is no Fairman deleting Mega Man in this game like that. But honestly, this game is one I'd recommend 100% completing because with the release of the Legacy Collection, I feel that will be much more attainable since we can trade online. In Battle Network 3 all the way to 6, there are two different versions of each game. With Battle Network 3, there is white and blue. The main differences of these games being the Gigachip and Megachip library exclusives, the style change exclusives, and honestly, in Mega Man Battle Network Blue, you get to encounter Mr. Famous and he offers a net battle between you and him with his net Navi Punk. If I were to choose between the two games, I would say choose Mega Man Battle Network 3 version Blue. Not because Shadow Style sounds cool or honestly because you get to fight Mr. Famous at some point, but there is a specific chip in this game, a specific Giga chip called Folderback. And if you're a veteran, this is extremely easy to get, but if you're new to the game, it may take you some time, but honestly, this breaks the game and it makes it so much easier. But if you don't care for that, choose whichever version. I love BN3 because honestly, the devs included so many secrets in this game. And for all those veteran players viewing this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You didn't think back in the day you'd have to have custom style to complete your standard library to get those secret standard chips, did you? Or that the Bug Frag Trader 300 thing, you know, come on, we didn't remember that. We didn't know that back then. Do not play with me unless you went on GameFAQs, okay? But that's what makes this game worth 100%ing, honestly. And if you do not 100% this game, I will know. I will find out. Now, if you don't care for chronological story order or which game has the best storyline and you're just looking to be that next Mega Man Battle Network esport legend, then MegaMan Battle Network 6 is where you're going to want to be. Battle Network 6's PvP mechanics hold up to this day, and if you don't believe me, check out the M1 Grand Prix community. They've shown that not only is this game still a fan favorite, but it's more alive than it's ever been in terms of PvP. I'll include a link to their channel if you're not convinced. Not only is the PvP great in this game, but so is the story. A lot of these Battle Network games are heartfelt and would most likely make you feel something deep inside that cold heart of yours, but if you've played these games all the way through to 6, you might just realize that you're capable of feeling again and not a narcissist. This game includes old friends, the new Beast Out mode, and some Beast Out crosses between old net ops and new net operators you've never battled before. This game just has a balance that every veteran BN player was looking for back in the day, and I'm sure you'll agree once you experience what we have as well. Now, with every game preceding Battle Network 3, you get 2 exclusive versions, and with Battle Network 6, you get Falsar and Gregor. The 2 differences really lie between the Beast Out mode you get, the exclusive Beast crosses to those games, and the exclusive Giga Chip set to those games as well. The unique properties between the 2 of Beast Out, Falsar, and Gregor are Gregor has super armor and a rapid fire buster. It's more lean towards a raw damage output versus your Falsar Beast Out mode, which is more lean towards utility. Things such as air shoes, where you don't break over cracked panels or you can float on top of cracked panels already broken. And things such as your Tengu Cross, where you can basically take away anyone's barrier or aura. So if you're fighting base, or if you're fighting a PvP that has an aura or a barrier 200 on, you can basically knock that right off. Now, before this video gets too long, I do want to talk about the rest of the games in the series. We've answered the question, should we play in chronological story order? Which one has the best storyline, and which one has the best overall single player and PvP experience? So we spoke about Battle Network 1, 3, and 6, but what about Battle Network 2? Is it worth playing? Absolutely, yes, it's worth playing. If you find yourself completing Battle Network 1 without quitting, congrats by the way, then you're in for a really good time with Battle Network 2. They basically fixed everything wrong with the first one in this game, as well as introduced style changes, but not only that, you can have 2 style changes compared to Battle Network 3, whereas you're only allowed 1. You'll meet new bosses in this game, uncover the plans of your new antagonist, it's not Wily in this game, and also, they have some pretty good juicy post-game in Battle Network 2 compared to 1. And if you've watched the anime, you'll see some really familiar faces from the end of NT Warrior and Access, which is really, really cool to be honest. The only thing I could say about Battle Network 2 that isn't so great is that it relies heavily on program advances. Gator. Aside from that, the game overall is phenomenal compared to the first one. You guys need to try this one out if you're playing the Legacy Collection for sure. Moving on to MegaMan Battle Network 4. This game was released in 2 versions, Red Sun and Blue Moon, and to be honest with you, I liked this game a lot. And a lot of people in the community will disagree with that statement, but for very valid reasons. But as someone who loves the series unconditionally, I enjoyed this game and what it introduced for the later series moving forward. The unique aspect of this game was the introduction of Dark Chips and Soul Unison, another reoccurring factor from the anime, which was just so cool to see, especially the Dark Chips, holy crap. However, this game didn't have too much to offer in terms of a story. It was basically a tournament arc with a bunch of mini-games and fetch tasks in between. To move on to post-game, you had to basically beat the game 3 times over, and if you were unlucky, your last Soul Unison would lie at the Red Sun and Blue Moon tournament at the end of the game, basically. Battle Network 4 requires a lot of work, especially if you want to fight the secret bosses and reach Black Earth. You will see some adaptations from Battle Network 2 and 4, but BN4 has its own unique aspects and secrets to its own. I hope you guys really play this game, and honestly, if it's just one playthrough, that's good enough. And last on our list is MegaMan Battle Network 5, which was released in 3 different versions actually. Team Protoman, Colonel, and Double Team DS, which is for the DS. MegaMan Battle Network 5 is similar to Battle Network 2 and 4, but it has its unique aspects of its own, the most infamous one being the RPG-style liberation missions which require Mega Man and his team to purge net areas of Dark Voids. If you've been playing the games in chronological order, you'll encounter some very familiar faces. I gotta tell you, when I played Battle Network 5 for the first time in chronological order, my balls dropped when I saw how many familiar net operators there were, and how many Soul Unisons you can do with previous characters from previous games. It was incredible to witness. Not only is Soul Unison in the game, but they also introduced Chaos Soul Unison. So if I were to go back into Battle Network 4 and use a sword trip to Soul Unite with Proto Man for Proto Soul, in Battle Network 5, you can use a Dark Sword shift to basically have Dark Proto Man Soul. That was one of the coolest features I found about Battle Network 5 when I was playing the game, and honestly, I didn't even realize it until later on in the story's progression. I didn't even realize you could Chaos Soul Unison. Even when you get the email, I didn't even care to read it in the game. But honestly, this game's story is pretty intense, and it may pull on your heartstrings, such as Battle Network 3 did. But the Battle Network 5 nostalgia is so real, it almost reminds you of Battle Network 3, especially nearing towards the end of the game. If you want my personal opinion on which of the Battle Network 5 versions I'd play, I would say Double Team DS, for a few reasons. That being, you can swap out navis between Team Proto-Man and Colonel during Liberation missions, so if you wanted to swap out Proto-Man for Colonel and Team Proto-Man, you could do that. It offered a few more exclusive chips, and if you had the cartridges, you could have Base Cross or Solar Boy Cross, and you can also encounter the scenario where you find Base in, I think, we're in area 2 or 3. But we're talking about the Legacy Collection alone. When I played the GBA version when it first came out, I chose Colonel because I didn't know who the hell Colonel was as a Navi, and I already knew who Proto-Man was, so I was like, ooh, let me play this one. I don't know who this guy is. I want to play this guy. When MegaMan Battle Network 3 first came out, that's when I started playing the MegaMan Battle Network series. I played MegaMan Battle Network 3 White, MegaMan Battle Network 2, 1, Blue Moon, Team Colonel, and Cyber Beast Fault Star in that order. Is playing it in chronological order a good idea? Yeah, honestly, I think it's a great idea. I think once you get past Battle Network 1, you'll find yourself wanting to play more once you get into 2, and you'll probably be wondering who's next in terms of what boss you encounter, or what's going to happen in the storyline next, or what's all this good post-game about, you know? But if you're going in it solely for PvP, it'll most likely be Battle Network 3 and 6, and if you want the best storyline, it'll probably be Battle Network 3, 6, 2, 5, 4, and 1 in that order. And the community may differ. They may say 6 over 3 versus 3 over 6, but this is my opinion here, okay? But when it comes down to choosing which versions of Mega Man Battle Network 3 through 6 you should play, it's just going to depend on your personal preference on your GigaChip exclusives, the exclusive styles between the 3s, the exclusive Soul Unisons between 4 and 5, and the Cyber Beast Fault Star Gregor between 6. So which direction are you guys going to go when the Legacy Collection comes out? You going to go straight for PvP, or play it chronologically through? I'm probably going to check out all the games to see if anything has differed from the originals, and if not, I'm going to go straight to PvP probably. I will be streaming the Legacy Collection when it does come out, so if you guys want to subscribe and ring that bell notification for when I do go live when it does come out, you guys will be the first to know. If you guys found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, guys. Peace.